Chris Mikowski of Emerging Civil War, and I am spending a little bit of time here at Gettysburg this week for Women's History Month with one of my favorite historians in all of Gettysburg, Sue Boardman. She's the author of the book, co-author of the book about the Gettysburg Cyclorama, which is how I first came to know her work. And as someone whose career with the Gettysburg Foundation has been something that I've just admired for a long time, so it's a real treat to be out here and explore this battlefield with a person I admire so much. Sue, thanks for spending some time with us today.
My pleasure, absolutely.
So what I've asked Sue to do is to take us around Gettysburg today and just show off some of her favorite spots so she can share her passion about her favorite landscape. Now, because we're practicing social distancing with our masks, we're fighting some wind today, we're gonna do things a little differently, and I'm gonna hop off camera so that Sue can take her mask off and talk with us a little bit more directly.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are standing in one of my personal favorite places on the battlefield of Gettysburg. It's the Soldiers National Cemetery. And a lot of people say, well, that's not really on the battlefield, but actually it really is. This location was selected for the burial of the Union dead for the specific reason that it was part of the battlefield. So the thinking, logically, was they laid down their lives to preserve this very ground, and therefore what an appropriate place for them to rest and be honored. So the cemetery has a lot to offer in the way of history and leadership perspective and honor and gratitude, but it also has monuments just like the greater battlefield, and those, by the way, are also part of my favorite things on this field. And this one in particular is kind of interesting for its symbolism. Now, not only do we have this magnificent bust of President Lincoln, and by the way, he's repeated many times in this locale. I think I've counted about 6 times. But in any case, the bust of Lincoln, and then these 2 tablets on either side of the monument. The one over on the left is a very short, to the point invitation to Lincoln from local attorney David Wills. He was Governor Curtin's agent to see to the proper burial of the Union dead. And he sent President Lincoln an invitation to come, a formal invitation, to say a few appropriate remarks. Now, look up the text of that on the internet, and you're going to find out that it's to the point, and it's pretty clear that he is being told he's not the main speaker. How many of you knew that? He's actually the second banana that day. He's going to follow a man who spoke for 2 hours. But basically, he did feel the initiative to come here, which is interesting because he'd had threats on his life several times up to this point in the war. His favorite son, Tad, was sick, and he already had lost 2 sons previous to this date. And he was a busy guy. He was prosecuting a war. So why would you jump on a train to come up and be a second banana and say a few appropriate remarks? Because he understood mission, he understood leadership, he understood opportunity. This was seizing the moment to take the Union victory at Gettysburg and to turn it into a pep talk to the nation, to the very people he desperately needed behind this war effort. He didn't really have much opportunity up to this point, but now he did. The downside was, though, he recognized that the loss was incredible. So another opportunity he took was to justify, to place that cost against the greater mission, so that people would understand why we were even in this war in the first place. So as you can see, this is a valuable piece of ground, not just a place to come and see once and go away. This is a place you come and ponder. Now, one of the things I like about the monument, in addition to this wonderful bust of Lincoln, is some of the symbolism. So check out these things right here. You don't see these much anymore in use, but they're called fasces, F-A-S-C-E-S. They are an ancient Roman military symbol that stands for strength through unity. So you see the unity, lashed bundles, a bunch of rods that are lashed together with leather. That's the unity. And then the strength is the axe head embedded in it. Now, way previous to the United States of America being born, this was used. But George Washington, in the Order of Cincinnatus, brought it to America. There's a great statue of him in Cincinnati holding one of these. And basically, it was really, really an important symbol up until a small group of people during World War II subverted it. Fascists, the people against the Allies in World War II, utilized it as their symbol. So that's why you don't see it anymore. But that begs the question to my visitors: how many other things do we see day to day that you have to really question the origin? We can just say, oh, this is bad. But it didn't start out that way. It's later generations that turned it into that. And so you have to question a lot of things. Don't depend on somebody else's opinion. Go to the very heart, to the source of the thing that you want to think about, and make up your own mind.
So, Sue, let me chime in with a voice of God question from behind the camera here. Because this is a spot that is so particularly important to you, can you maybe share a story of a time when you came here and kind of had a moment?
I think that might have been, I was here with the leadership group, and with my leadership groups, we always end in the cemetery because it kind of brings the story some closure. And we were talking about, I always ask one of them to read the Gettysburg Address, and sometimes it surprises me that a lady will stand up and offer, or a non-native born person will, which I think is fascinating. But anyway, on one reading, something occurred to me. I just heard the word "here" over and over and over again. And so when I went home that night, I pulled up the Gettysburg Address and I started to count. 7 times Lincoln says "here." And then it occurred to me, that's why he came here. You could give that speech that he gave in the newspaper or anywhere else, but he understood the sense of place. He understood that to give the speech he gave, to give the pep talk, to give the meaning of the battle, meaning of the outcome, meaning of the mission, he had to do it here. He talks about those men that fought here, that died here, that now lay here. So here became really important to me.
We're on the Gettysburg National Battlefield at the Soldiers National Cemetery here in Gettysburg with Sue Boardman. We're going to explore the battlefield today. Stay with us.